I'm about to do a panel discussion where we're going to discuss the difference between sex trafficking and sex work. So I want to hear from you guys. What are some misconceptions or questions you have about this subject? I personally think it's important that we clearly define the difference so that we can understand and combat the actual problem. So I'm a survivor of 20 years of cult abuse and child trafficking. I now train law enforcement to combat child exploitation and trafficking. I encounter a lot of people that don't understand the difference between sex work and trafficking. In a nutshell, lumping them together is not helping anyone. It's forcing the crime deeper into the shadows and it's leaving victims without support. The main difference is consent versus coercion. I have personally dedicated my life to combat child exploitation and trafficking, so I will always be focused on protecting children. When children are involved in anything of the sort, it is objectively wrong, harmful, abusive, etc. So there's no debate when it comes to children. However, when it comes to adults, there are some who choose to do sex work. There are many who don't know what they're signing up for. There are many who become exploited, etc., etc. However, it is a very different body of water than the world of child exploitation, and specifically child trafficking. I feel it's important to understand the difference for multiple reasons, because a lot of these anti-trafficking laws are not helping victims of trafficking, and a lot of times victims of trafficking end up becoming criminalized. They now have a criminal record because they were charged with prostitution, which is just not helping them. When we blur the lines, we're doing a disservice to the actual victims. The law doesn't know how to properly address these issues. Law enforcement doesn't know what to go after. And victims of actual trafficking, and even victims of exploitation, which is an even broader spectrum than trafficking, are not supported. It may or may not surprise you that most of these anti-trafficking laws have not helped to combat trafficking or support survivors of trafficking. So I train law enforcement to understand the difference, as well as to know how to combat this issue, to identify it, to eradicate it. We work in multiple levels in the digital realm as well as in every community. So if you have questions about this process, if you have insight, if you have an opinion, let me know in the comments. I'd love to have this conversation.